the source of champions to source of corruption is that he has built an anti-cooperative creameries. Can you believe this, Mr. Speaker? Almost 1 billion, yet he has not even packaged a half a liter of milk. Even a correct factory should only consume 350 million, Mr. Speaker. It is very unfortunate that as we talk today, the farmers of Nandi, we have never gotten value because Nandi, there are so many white elephants. In fact, I need, do we call yellow elephants or still white elephants? Because Kabiet, which has Nandi creameries, has consumed almost 1 billion. Yet they did not buy land, Mr. Speaker. You go to newborn mother baby in Kapsabet Hospital, is tall. You go to Nandi Governor's office, is tall. Kobujai Hospital, which is thrown away from the Governor Sang home. God forbid if he gets a medical emergency. That project has stalled and has consumed almost 100 million Kenyan shillings. Just like Kapsengere, like Chepterwai, Kapsengere Dispensary, Chepterwai Hospital, Mr. Speaker. So it is very unfortunate that white elephants continue. I'm saying this because, for example, this issue of PPPs, if the coffee sector, avocado sector, Mr. Speaker, and also to ensure, promote, and develop frameworks for public-private partnerships, PPPs, we must ensure. Even I saw your governance establish something, is supposed to fund a project called Garissa's Farmers Training Center or something like that, Mr. Speaker. We must ensure that we bring cooperatives into this, and this will be the work of Commissioner of Cooperative. Mr. Speaker, I think I agree also when you look at another clause, because I can see my time is fast spent. The Director of Cooperatives for Counties, I agree, but I'm happy that you have given a word of intergovernmental so that we have that relationship between the Cooperative Commissioner in Nairobi and 47 county directors so that we don't undermine. Mr. Speaker, you know the biggest threat to devolution in clawback clauses. And we are seeing this legislation that is being sponsored by National Assembly, that they want to claw back some of the devolved function, like health, like cooperatives, Mr. Speaker. We need to be very careful as a Senate, Mr. Speaker. The price of democracy is eternal vigilance. We must be vigilant, Mr. Speaker. We must be vigilant. And that is why there is a saying, Senator Okongo, that when you smell a stew from your neighbor and your goat has disappeared, you become suspicious of your neighbor. So we need to be careful what National Assembly wants to achieve, Mr. Speaker, because they are slowly taking the functions of counties and transferring and telling us, you know, NGCDF has done much more than counties. Mr. Speaker, they say before you kill a dog, you give it a bad name. There is corruption everywhere. I want to challenge National Assembly, if they have bowls of steels, sorry, Mr. Speaker, if they have courage, they should oversight their work of national government. There is so much corruption everywhere. What we should be calling out is EACC. But I pity and empathize with Garissa County, because unfortunately the CEO of EACC comes from Garissa. I don't know whether he will be conflicted, whether he can take action against the county government of Garissa, but that is a story of another day, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy there is producer, cooperative, that is, will enclave farmers. I have OAB, the one, I have farmers of Mr. Kosge, I'm forgetting the name, who comes from Nandils. Mr. Speaker, they have their own tea factory. They have even built a building, Siret, it's called Siret. They have even a building in Nandils town. And when you visit Nandi, I know your dad used to know Nandi, and he was a PC, and he knows Nandi very well. And we went with him during my state of address at Nandi County Assembly. They have a huge building, courtesy of Siret OAP. This is what we call producer. But the danger is the government did not give them exception of VAT. And these are small-scale older farmers, Mr. Speaker. Let us avoid giving tax exemptions to Uizu and give small farmers. I'm happy there is the savings and credit. We must check out the Watu credit. Kenya Women, Mr. Speaker. There is a famous savings and credit society called Kenya Women. In fact, I want to advise senators, be careful on the loan your wife takes. Because if your wife takes Kenya Women loan and they don't pay, Kenya Women will come with police and take your sofa set, they will take your beddings, they will take the TV, they will take cows. There is hue and cry in villages in Nandi. Because of Kenya Women, the wives go and take loan Mr. Speaker, and they don't refund. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to support, and I'll bring amendments at the committee stage. I thank you for the indulgence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Godfrey Ososi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this important opportunity to also make my valued comments on the cooperative bill, National Assembly bill. Mr. Speaker, cooperative movement, as my colleagues have said, is a very important sector in our economy. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the figures from the economy, then you realize the importance of cooperatives in our economy. Because, Mr. Speaker, 63% of Kenyans depend on cooperatives. That is more than half of the population of Kenya depends on cooperatives, either directly or indirectly through members of the cooperative and their dependents, or through the programs they do in the society. So 63%, and I believe this number will likely go up as we continue to improve the status of cooperatives in this country. Mr. Speaker, our GDP, the gross domestic product of Kenya, 45% of it is from cooperatives. This is huge, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is a sector that is very significant to our economy. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about an asset base for cooperative of 1 trillion shillings. This is just nearly half of our national budget, Mr. Speaker. This is a huge amount of money. Mr. Speaker, 30% of our national savings, 30% of our national savings are all coming from cooperatives. These figures, Mr. Speaker, clearly indicates that this sector is very, very, very important sector in our economy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know the popular session paper number 10 of 1965 that many of us have been referring to, talked about African socialism, where they were seeking to Africanize the economy. And one of the tools they used to Africanize the economy was through the cooperative movement. So you can see that even our forefathers had a very good vision of what cooperatives could do to our economy. Mr. Speaker, having given a good picture of what cooperatives can do to our economy, including even having a loan portfolio of 700 billion shillings, the money that cooperatives have lent out to Kenyans, there is other issues that we need to look at. Mr. Speaker, Kenya has been ranked very highly in cooperative movement, being ranked as a top country in Africa and among the top 10 in the world. But that ranking has been going down, Mr. Speaker, and something has to be done about it so that we maintain our position as a leader in the cooperative movement, not just in Africa, but globally. But that is retarding. It is going down. I am aware other countries are coming up very fast, especially West Africa countries, which are coming up to claim their space. Mr. Speaker, one of the negative things that have happened in this country when it comes to cooperative is the corruption and the stealing at Cusco. Mr. Speaker, as we are talking now, depositors are at risk of losing 6 billion shillings as a result of the stealing, the looting, and the corruption at Cusco, which is the apex cooperative in Kenya, where, according to Price Waterhouse, 6 billion shillings is not accounted for because of irregular and illegal withdrawals, illegal cash transfers, illegal dividends, and many other malpractices that happened. Mr. Speaker, what I fail to understand is that the report is there, but these people who have been involved in this fraud are still enjoying their ill-gotten wealth. And the police are dragging their feet. Many of the people who are victims of this fraud are teachers and civil servants who have lost their money in Cusco. Mr. Speaker, even as we pass this bill, I think we need to call out on the investigative agencies, on the police, to arrest the culprits involved in the looting and the stealing at Cusco. We cannot have a scenario where the apex cooperative in the country, which is supposed to be the key cog in the entire sector, becomes a target of thieves, of looters, and very little is done to protect the funds that have been invested in this Cusco. Mr. Speaker, even in Cusco, they say that these people were stealing upwards of 580 million annually for the last 10 years. And yet we have a regulator, Sasira. Where was Sasira? Where was Sasira all these years when all this was happening, Mr. Speaker? Didn't they see it? Did they participate? Were they conspirators in this fraud? I think a lot needs to be answered by not just the Cusco directors, but also the regulator. What did the regulator do to safeguard Kenyans' investment in Cusco? We have other circles, secondary circles, which have suffered. Stima Sacco, Muasibu, and others have suffered, lost a lot of money in Cusco, Mr. Speaker. And losing money means the SACCO members have also lost their money, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we cannot grow the cooperative movement if there are no proper systems in place to manage the apex cooperative. Mr. Speaker, having given that picture, when I look at this bill, I think this bill will help us deal with the challenges like what we have seen in Cusco and other circles which have been mismanaged. We have had many circles in this country which don't even give dividends, which even when you apply for a loan, Mr. Speaker, it will take ages for you to get your money, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this scenario, we are hoping that this bill, because it gives the mandate to the commissioner to regulate. I think, Mr. Speaker, what is not very clear to me when I go through this bill is how that regulation of cooperative at a global perspective is going to be aligned to regulation of savings and cooperative societies, the SACCOs, which are regulated by SASRA. So who is going to do what when it comes to SACCOs? Is it the cooperative commissioner or SASRA? I think that is where we are likely to have some conflict. I think moving forward, this is a matter that we need to discuss even as we go to the committee of the whole house so that it is very clear who does what when it comes to regulation. Because SACCOs are just a category of cooperatives. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about intergovernmental relations, cooperative relations, where they are seeking to create a forum which will be headed by the Office of Commissioner of Cooperative, and we'll have all the 47 county directors of cooperative, among other people. I think that is a very good forum of ensuring that we have constant and sustainable engagement and consultation and dispute management, and that will help this country to manage the cooperative movement better. Mr. Speaker, this bill also provides a very good framework for promoting good governance and ethical conduct in cooperative. And this is one of the measures to try and deal with the challenges that we have seen in cooperative movement, challenges to do with looting, stealing, and corruption. But most importantly, this bill seeks to have a framework that is going to ensure that we have a sustainable and competitive cooperative sector in this country, which we have been lacking over the years. Mr. Speaker, it also provides a clear framework on how primary, secondary, and even federation, cooperative federations and apex cooperatives are going to interlink with each other, where the primary cooperative has a minimum of 20 members, and the secondary has 5 members minimum who are from the primary cooperative, and a federation has at least 2 secondary cooperative, and then we have the apex. That kind of structuring is important because you saw Cusco was even competing with the ordinary cooperatives in their function. But I'm happy now the new CS for cooperative has come out very clearly to say their role will be limited to advisory, training, capacity building, and such, which should have been the case from the beginning. Mr. Speaker, one important thing that cooperative can contribute to this economy is in addressing the housing problem. Mr. Speaker, our government has a housing plan which has ended up charging us on our payslip, the housing levy, which many of us are not happy with. But how I wish the government could put more effort in promoting housing cooperatives so that people can invest with the purpose of borrowing to build or to own a house. The scenario that we have now, Mr. Speaker, of being deducted money, which you don't know when you will own a house, it is a challenge. Let us develop housing cooperatives and empower them. Even the money that we are deducted from our payslip, let it go to the housing cooperative. Let it go and be managed there so that when I want a house, I will go there and borrow using the money that has been deducted from me and own a house. Because the cooperative movement is contributing about 500,000 houses a year, Mr. Speaker, which is 25% of our requirement for housing through corporate. In Saudi Arabia. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary promised this House that he will give an answer in 1 week. It is now 2 months. Mr. Speaker, I have written a letter to you I have not received any feedback. Meanwhile, the family of this deceased person is suffering. We want cabinet secretaries who will deliver like Oparanya, Mr. Speaker, who will deliver like Mbadi and others. And that's why us as a party, when we say we have taken our experts to the government, we can see our experts are working, led by Oparanya and Mbadi and the others. So we want to see our cabinet secretary delivering in their respective dockets so that the country can move forward in a better way. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to say that I have also seen an amendment which is saying that directors of cooperatives will be allowed to vie for only 2 terms. Mr. Speaker, I have seen contestation about that provision, where some people are saying that that provision should not be allowed because it is democracy. Let people vie as many times as they wish. I think it's important that we have a term limit in the cooperative movement so that we don't have a scenario where one person has been a director of a cooperative. When I was in the university, he was a director of a cooperative. When I came to work and I became a member of that cooperative, I found the guy there. When I went into business, he was still there. When I became an MP, he was still there. I'm now a senator, the guy is still there. 30 years, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to mention names, but if you walk around here, cooperative around this parliamentary presence, you can find out how long some of those directors have been there. Many years, Mr. Speaker. They should borrow a leave from us in Pakoso and Bunge Sako. We keep changing them after 1 or 2 terms. So the issue of a term limit is important. I know there is a lot of resistance, but I think it's important that we have a term limit so that we don't have a scenario where people are in office for life. So that we can have freshness, we can have new ideas injected into the cooperative movement. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this bill.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mugeni. Eric.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me an opportunity to also make my contribution to the Cooperatives Bill 2024, a bill that was passed by the National Assembly on 3rd of December 2024. Mr. Speaker, you can see how good-mannered the Senate is. When we receive bills from the National Assembly and we know they are beneficial to our people, we process them without being mischievous, without being petty, without bringing the rivalry of the 2 houses into play, Mr. Speaker. And that's how it should be, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, that I'm speaking after a very inspirational address that was made to senators today by the former Prime Minister, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And I think that speech was momentous because it was reminding us where we have come from and that we really need to guard our democracy. And this bill goes a long way in trying to demonstrate to our farmers that we want to give them the responsibility to manage their cooperatives, to see how they can lead their cooperatives, to bring more income to the people that they lead, may it be farmers or traders. But Mr. Speaker, when I listened to the Prime Minister today, it also reminded me that if we are not careful, we could easily drift to the Kanu years of yesterday, of the years gone by. I remember, Mr. Speaker, when we were in secondary school, there's a time that a member of parliament from Central Kenya, Kiika Kimani, was expelled by Kanu because when school children sang a song for Kiika Kimani, they sang a song for President Moi, but put in a stance that purported to praise Kiika Kimani, and he was expelled by Kanu. Or when we were in Form 6, a story we were told by our history teacher, what befell Joseph Munyao, who was MP for Mboni in 1989. President Moi visited Mboni, and he mentioned the name of Mr. Munyao, who was then the MP. And Munyao made the mistake of not standing. And the following day, the Okiki Amayo committee summoned him, and by the close of business, he was expelled. Or the story we were told of Samuel Pogisho, who, Mr. Speaker, only spent four months in Parliament and was expelled simply because he was fighting for the rights of the Pokot, together with the Honorable Lotodo, the late Lotodo. So we really need to guard, Mr. Speaker, our democratic space. When we listen to very, very experienced leaders like Raila Amolo Odinga, it's really a reminder that we're here for a bigger call, Mr. Speaker, that we must guard our democracy, that the speeches we make here will be made reference to by future generations. When he told us that he made a speech when he was moving a motion, and all members of opposition walked out on him, but he didn't give up. He still pushed and pushed. So I'm really happy that I'm making my contribution to this bill on a day like this when we had that very inspirational address from the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, from where I come from, my county of Nyamira, my farmers basically survive from the goodwill of cooperative societies. Our tea farmers, and I believe even my good friend, my neighbor, Senator of Kericho, knows the contribution that the Chai Sacco cooperative society has made to farmers, despite a few teething problems here and there on mismanagement. The coffee farmers in North Mugirango, where we have Magwawa Cooperative Society, has been very beneficial to the coffee farmers. In West Mugirango, Nyamaya Cooperative Society has been very, very beneficial to coffee farmers. Visembe Cooperative Society in North Mugirango. In Borabu, Mr. Speaker, where I live, Borabu Cooperative Society used to be very vibrant. When I was a young kid, we used to deliver milk, and a cooperative society used to pay us in our local village in Tinderet. That is dying. I hope this bill will really rejuvenate these cooperative societies so that our farmers can be organized in groups that can have better bargaining power. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the most active cooperative society is Vision Point, led by a mzee I called my father, because he was my father's age mate, who has continued to provide leadership to the local farmers. He's called Mzee Menge. Maybe Senator Cheruiyot knows the mzee. He's been a very dedicated farmer, and he has been there trying to inspire farmers. He was there when the government was delivering the cooler machine. He actually mobilized me to assist the farmers to connect power and water for the cooler. Mzee Menge has made a lot of contribution in trying to ensure that farmers are organized and they deliver their produce in a manner that makes life easy for farmers. But the others, Mr. Speaker, who are still at the mercy of middlemen. If you drive from Nairobi, once you go past Nyasiongo, you will get women hawking bananas, hawking avocados at Ikonge Market, at Keumbu, which is a shared market between Kisii and Nyamira County, Mr. Speaker. And I hope that the passage of this bill will assist those cadre of farmers to be organized in a way that they can have, the cooperative can do bulk purchases, try to do market survey and access, so that they aggregate their produce and sell when they have really a stronger power on the price. Because currently, Mr. Speaker, what happens is that middlemen from Nairobi buy our bananas at a throwaway price. We sell our avocados at throwaway price, Mr. Speaker. I hope that when this bill passes, there will be direct benefit to our farmers so that they are not exploited by middlemen. We want our bananas, Mr. Speaker, to be sold in bulk so that the person who is buying can go and do value addition, you know. But this idea of buying one banana from one farmer or two bananas from one farmer, it doesn't really add value to the farmer because you sell away at thrown away prices. Mr. Speaker, farmers have faced many problems, including at times problems of mismanagement of our cooperative societies. I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, that this bill in the third schedule has created very, very serious offenses, including offenses that will make some people to be barred or to be disqualified from serving as members of cooperative societies. You have heard the sorry state of mismanagement at Cusco, Mr. Speaker. And I read in the newspaper sometimes that you find one director in Cusco disappears with 20 million, money belonging to poor contributors, Mr. Speaker. And the problem with our justice, criminal justice system, is that you can steal from the poor and get away with it, Mr. Speaker. In other jurisdictions, if you steal public money and the law catches up with you, you will be consigned to poverty forever. But here, Mr. Speaker, somebody steals from poor Kenyans who have made contribution to our cooperative societies. The case drags in court forever, Mr. Speaker. And finally, when a conviction is made, you are told now there is no evidence. The case has been in court for too long. Some witnesses end up disappearing. That's not the way our justice system should be. I'm happy that we have also created offenses of misconduct or falsifying documents so that we bring discipline, Mr. Speaker, to these cooperative societies. And, I wonder when people complain that they don't want to serve for 2 terms. For many years at Law Society of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, every new chairman used to be told that you walk the story of George Washington. When George Washington became President of the United States of America, there was no term limit. There was no term limit. The 1789 Constitution, Mr. Speaker, American Constitution did not have term limit. But George Washington said, look, we have so many Americans who can bring some ideas on leading a country. I'm not the only one. So he did 2 terms left. The one who followed did the same thing. So it was like that till 1933, when Franklin Roosevelt decided to do 4 terms, so to speak. And Americans responded and said, now that we have seen that we can have people who may want to die in office, let's amend the Constitution and create 2 terms. So you used to take leadership as president of Law Society, and you are told the road you walk is the road of George Washington. You do 2 terms, and you go. Why do people want to lead cooperative societies for eternity, Mr. Speaker? Why? There are so many farmers, Mr. Speaker, who can provide leadership to our cooperative societies. Article 89 on the power to charge. I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, that the law is now very clear that before a cooperative society charges its property to a bank, there must be a special general meeting of that cooperative society, and then the members authorize the officials to charge a property. I know of a cooperative in Simbauti, Mr. Speaker, who took a loan, but they were unable to pay, and that was land that could have been very productive in farming. But the land has been sold to repay off the loan. So it's important that members themselves pass a resolution, to authorize the board members of a cooperative society to borrow. Mr. Speaker, I will oppose this clause 16 that gives power to COG to pick a nominee. We have passed so many laws here, leader, giving that power to COG. But you find that the chair of the day picks his friends, his relatives, to be representative of COG. That was not the intention. That was not the intention. We must find a way. Let's be innovative. We can even say in each county we have a office of senator can propose a person to sit in the selection panel, the governor to send one person, the MP one person, so that, okay.
Yes, Senator Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I associate myself with the comments by Senior Counsel, Senator Okongo. That is something that has troubled me for a while. But you need to find comfort in the fact that, Mr. Speaker, we have now since enshrined COG in law, making it a body corporate. What we must do then is perhaps during Committee of the Whole is that we need to add the words through a competitive process. I think if we do that, then it will serve the purpose. But that's very important what he's raising. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for informing. I think that will be a good middle ground. If we say through a competitive process, so that an advert is placed in the newspapers, Kenyans apply, let the one who is most qualified be the one being offered the opportunity. Now, Section 12, County Public Service Board, to employ a number of technical officers as it may deem fit. Senator Cheruiyot, you know the problem we have with employment at our counties. My county is currently doing 62% of the revenue that they get goes to employment. We need to find a way. Maybe we need to limit the number of staff. Like in the judiciary, we have a limit of how many judges Judicial Service Commission can employ. The Constitution is prescriptive. You cannot have more than 9 judges of the Supreme Court of Kenya. Is it 9 or 7? Yeah? We need to do something. If you put this blanket check, the moment we enact this law, Mr. Speaker, you will see counties will employ even up to 300 people. All the money that we are fighting today to go to counties will still be consumed by salaries at our counties. So we really need to be very, very careful with this power that we are giving to County Public Service Board in Section 12. Otherwise, you will see, Senator Cheruiyot, the moment you enact this law, your governor will employ even up to 400 people because they want to employ their relatives, their supporters, somebody said even their girlfriend. And then 124. We cannot say that JSC will pick members of the tribunal from nominees of the cabinet secretary. Mr. Speaker, the correct language should be that Judicial Service Commission, through a competitive process, will pick members of the cooperative tribunal. Because if you give that power to a cabinet secretary, it means the process will not be competitive. And finally, as I wind up, Madam Speaker, this animal in Article 153 called the Cooperative Development Fund, which shall be money paid by cooperative societies as the minister may direct. I always try to defend farmers. If the minister wakes up and say each cooperative society will make a certain percentage of contribution to this fund, it means that instead of helping our cooperatives, we'll still be giving with the right hand and taking with the left hand. I'll propose, Mr. Speaker, that we find a way, just like the way we have is it sugar levy fund? We find a way that we can collect this levy, but without punishing the farmer. The person I want to fight for, honorable senators, is the farmer. Let us not pass laws that are going to add more pain to the farmer, or that will take from the pockets of the farmer. I hope that at the committee stage we can find a way of creating a fund that does not punish the fund. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, by and large, I welcome this bill. I also congratulate the work of CS Oparanya. I've invited him to visit my county of Nyamira, to come and visit my coffee farmers who are in cooperatives. And I hope he will find time to be in Nyamira. We were with him in Uasin together with Senator Chirage here, and we commended him. We told him he's doing a good job, and we encouraged him to continue doing the good work on behalf of the government of the day, and that's what we need.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make some brief comments on this very important bill, the Cooperative Bill of 2024. Mr. Speaker, these three distinguished senators who are here were with me in the last parliament when we passed one piece of legislation which I was always praying, and yourself, Mr. Speaker, that it could be implemented. This is the warehousing receipt bill. Mr. Speaker, we are poor because we are not able to coordinate and to be able to make sure that we take care of our produce. When today I saw this cooperative bill, I decided that I will come and make some contribution which will allow me to be able to at least guide, the debate on this bill, because sometimes I think we try to over-legislate. And we're in the business of creating offices for certain individuals. One of the biggest problems that I have with any piece of legislation that comes up is that there is an establishment of the director of cooperatives in the national level. There is establishment of a director of cooperative in the county level. I've had a very negative experience, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of cooperatives, because the process is selective, it is predetermined, and once you become selective in the process of registering a cooperative society, and when you predetermine how even the bylaws should be drafted, that is a recipe for disaster. If, Mr. Speaker, we had fully implemented the Warehousing Receipt Act, today the farmers in Narok would not be using empty fields to be able to dry their wheat, would be able to put money, send money into county governments, set up warehouses, set up silos, set up dryers, so that the moisture content in wheat can be one that these millers can be able to come and buy, and farmers would be able to benefit. Today, when we come here with a very long bill, I'm still reading it, which has got about 284 pages long. My only conclusion is that we are actually going the wrong direction. We are over-legislating. We talk about devolution. Agriculture is devolved. By and large, when you try to interrogate this bill, Mr. Speaker, it talks about produce. How people can come together, work together to be able to produce. Today, we have a cabinet secretary in charge of cooperatives. But this bill wants to set up a director of cooperatives in the national level. then what is the job of that cabinet secretary if we have a director in the national level? Agriculture is devolved, health is devolved, but we are still clawing back on devolution. Mr. Speaker, I think this House, when it comes to the third reading of this bill, or the committee of the whole, we must go through the bill and scrutinize it. Go through the bill with a toothpick to ensure that, number one, we do not over-legislate. Number two, we do not create offices for particular individuals who will be living large, collecting money from farmers or members of a cooperative. They drive big SUVs, live in Karen, yet the farmers themselves struggle in terms of developing their produce, storing that produce, and then once they sell is where now these directors come and say, we want our levy. I've always had a problem, Mr. Speaker, with the Kenya Dairy Board, because I think it is completely misplaced. It doesn't understand the challenges that farmers go through. It doesn't understand the adulteration of the milk in this country. It doesn't understand the challenges that women in our counties face when they don't have a proper cold chain. I wish that Kenya Dairy Board was investing heavily in developing a good, cold chain, so that when a farmer milks, takes it directly to the cold chain and doesn't have to go through brokers. We must stop over-legislating. I wish this bill was talking about a process where the government will invest in the farmers, give subsidies to the farmers, set up cooperatives for free for farmers. Mr. Speaker, when in fact, I even spoke to the cabinet secretary. I was trying to register a cooperative in Narok. But the rounds and circles that I was taking, Mr. Speaker, I just ended up registering a limited liability company. And then I say, based on how I work with the farmers, I can give shares. So sometimes it's a bit frustrating. What we need to do is to sit down with the county governments. I would support the proposal of setting up a county director of cooperatives. And this office of the county director of cooperatives, not the national director of cooperatives, a county director of cooperatives. Let the cabinet secretary deal with the issues of cooperatives. When we go down to the county level, we can have a CCM in charge of agriculture who then appoints a director of cooperatives. When you appoint the director of cooperatives, you ensure the CCM or the CEO in charge of cooperative ensures that every county budgets for money that is supposed to build these cooperative movements. Mr. Speaker, about 10 years ago, I traveled to Brazil, and I went to study the cooperative system there. And I was mesmerized, Mr. Speaker. And that is when we came to debate the warehousing receipt bill then, which is an act now, at least everything to me was making sense. Cooperative movements in countries like Brazil, Mr. Speaker, have their own community banks where farmers, they have their own warehouses, they bring their produce, it's a cooperative. They have their membership there. It is not a set up cooperative movement. In Narok County, we have six constituencies. We know what does well in Emurwedikir. We know what does well in Kilgoris. We know what does well in Narok South, Narok West, Narok East, and Narok North. Before I entered here, I was meeting with gentlemen from Narok North. Of course, they were disgruntled because of land issues. Some of them who were left out when Mao Forest was being surveyed. And they still have a genuine case. But these people are farmers. They produce wheat, barley. The most important thing is to bring them together, make sure they have a good silos to store those produce, make sure they have good dryers, not to be selling them to brokers who then come and turn part of Narok Central into a drying field. There's a place called El Mashariani. Before you get into Narok town, Mr. Speaker, literally 2 kilometers before you get into town, you will see some makeshift silos, but people don't even use those silos because of the moisture content. Then you will see a field which is about 20 acres. And during the harvesting season, Mr. Speaker, that field will be littered with just, grains. Down about 1 kilometer away, there's a Kenya Cereals and Produce Board. So people come individually, they come, they dry their wheat there. Once the wheat, the moisture content has reduced, is where now they sell, and they take it to the silos for the millers to be able to come and buy. We need to do things differently, and not only come up with such a huge bill, but develop legislation that can actually encourage a small government rather than a big government. Legislation that will ensure that it creates wealth rather than overburden farmers. When today the dairy board is saying, oh, you need to pay this levy. Tomorrow, with this act, these cooperative members have got to pay money. Why? We are being overtaxed on a daily basis, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the 4-tier structure of these cooperatives, for me, is really a lot of bureaucracy for nothing. Why do you have to create 4 tiers? It is like the other piece of legislation we were discussing here the other day, Mr. Speaker, that now requires, I think it was the coffee bill, that now requires that a buyer be registered, be licensed, a seller be licensed, a broker be licensed. You're actually stifling innovation. So we need to be cognizant of the fact that we're living at a time when artificial intelligence is guiding the future. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, I'll be meeting students who we're sponsoring to be able to study agribusiness. Cooperative is one of the subjects that we are going to be discussing. But if tomorrow now I have to sit down and tell them, we have a bill that is proposing to have a 4-tier structure for cooperative movements, I'm sure most of them will be like, for what? If we had a database of how many cooperatives we have in this country, in Narok County, for instance, and say we have 20 cooperative movements. Cooperative number 1 is for wheat farmers. Cooperative number 2 is for dairy farmers. Cooperative number 3, tea farmers. Cooperative number 4, livestock farmers. Then the next question we ask, how much are we supporting these cooperatives? Mr. Speaker, we had the Cabinet Secretary here the other day in charge of gender, and the subject of the day was the issue of women enterprises. If there is a way that we can be able to make sure that any piece of legislation we develop, we tie in all these government resources. There's a lot of money, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the agricultural ministry today. When the government wants to give coolers, they use the Ministry of Livestock. Can we find a way, similar to the way the Disaster Management Office used to work, where it was coordinating services from each and every ministry, so that when disasters strike, they support from the Ministry of Gender, they support from the Ministry of Housing, they support from the Ministry of Local Government then. Right now, if you're telling me that this cooperative, being a member of cooperative, gives you priority, and that becomes your security or your collateral, when you are applying for a loan from the Women Enterprising Fund, I'll be the first one to clap and say, no, that is progressive. That is building, creating wealth. But there's no nexus between this piece of legislation and the other piece of legislation, this department and the other department. We've heard of this notion that the minister actually said it here, that it's an all-government approach. Meaning, as a cabinet secretary in charge of interior, or as a cabinet secretary in charge of agriculture, if you go to a place, you should be in a position to respond to the issues being raised by that community or by those citizens. Any piece of legislation that we draft now should not be one that continues creating jobs for people, but for making things to happen. We need to be clear now that we are no longer in a unitary state of governance. We're in a devolved state of governance that does not require everything to be coordinated by the cabinet secretary. In other countries, Mr. Speaker, I'll give an example of the United States of America. They have school districts. I lived in Massachusetts, and in Concord has their own school district. You know, they get support from the federal government, they get support from the state government, they get support from the local government. But the way I see us moving ahead, it is like we are completely confused. It is like the national government always want to have control. I really do wish that sometimes my colleagues in the National Assembly would take time to read the pieces of legislation that they propose. Because once you read through these pieces of legislation, then you can be able to say and tell that we're in a different era. We are no longer at a time when everything has got to be controlled from a central level. Let us devolve everything. The agriculture is devolved. It is it's the backbone of this economy. These cooperative movements, Mr. Speaker, since I see my majority leader is, and I think the time is up, I'd wish that I could really speak on this. But this will be the first bill, Mr. Speaker, that I will seek your eye during the third reading, so that I can be able to really try to make sure that I make sense out of it. But otherwise, with those few remarks, let me allow the majority leader to make his remarks.
Thank you very much, Senator. I call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for indulging me. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if I can seek your permission, Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 1, to allow the extra 15 minutes so that I reply in 3 minutes and conclude. I'll not use the entire 15 minutes, but if you can permit, Mr. Speaker, even just an extra 5 minutes so that I don't have to rush.
Very well, I will extend.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For not more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'll not even do more than 5. Mr. Speaker, you know, I wanted to respond to some of the things that my colleague, Senator Ledama, has said, so I needed time. Because, you know, Senator Ledama, I can tell when you have read a bill, and I can tell when you have just walked in and picked a bill and want to comment on it. You have said very many useful things how that you can enrich this particular bill, which I agree with you, and that's something we must do. But if you had been in the House earlier and listened to the things our colleagues were saying about the challenges in the cooperative space, the need to ensure that governance and legacy issues are addressed spontaneously, then you would know the urgency with which we want to bring sanity to this space. You are aware, because I know you follow news in this country, of the Cusco scandal. That was enabled by weak legislation that exists. You can see that we are amending a statutory instrument, Senator Ledama, that 15, is it 15 now? After 15 years into the new constitution, we don't have a law governing the cooperatives movement. That's why even in your own Narok County, for example, despite the great potential that cooperatives have, people fear touching them because they know the minute you are more than 10, 50, 100, then there's no guarantee of safety of those returns. We must tighten that particular space to take us back to 1980s and 90s, if you recall, Senator Ledama, when people used to gather here at KICC during the annual Cooperatives Day and leading cooperatives from across the country will come and be commended and rewarded for exceptional performance during the financial year. That is what we are seeking to achieve. I also mentioned during the moving of this bill, why this bill is this voluminous is because it is a combination of industry stakeholder views that has been collected the last 15 years. This is the third time this bill is coming to Parliament. We tried it in the 11th Parliament. I think it died in the National Assembly. Last Parliament, if you recall, we actually began this bill ourselves on the Senate side. But somehow, as is the tradition, when our bills get to the National Assembly, it died a natural death. This time we said we are lucky because it's their bill, and Senate is the upper house. We are not just upper for powers or anything. It's for prioritizing and knowing that there are things that are not worth fighting for, like who commenced the bill or not. If a bill is good, we separate on it. I therefore want to urge that you take the weekend, Senator Ledama, and improve on this bill. Read page by page, because it has very many important proposals that we went step by step in my moving notes, including, because I heard you, Mr. Speaker, mention, Senator Ledama mention on the issue of why you need a national director for cooperatives. It's because that is like the registrar of all these cooperatives. We have given one at the county, but remember, there are counties that, there are SACCOs and cooperatives that are trans-county. Like Imarisha SACCO, I'll give you an example. It is in Kericho, it is in Narok, it is in Bomet. If you leave it to be handled by the county registrar alone, then what happens to issues that arise in a neighboring county and the rest? Therefore, there is need for coordination even at the national level, not at the level of a cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker, because you understand a cabinet secretary is the head of policy. But the day-to-day operations and running, you will need somebody at that particular level. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, there is a good reason for our colleagues to take time before we conclude on this. We still have a lot of time before we can conclude on the work. I know that the Committee on Labor actually tabled their report last week on this, which I want to urge members to read and appreciate what stakeholders said and why they feel this is of an urgent nature, including the comments actually. Take time, Senator Ledama, in the report of the Labor Committee, take time and read the memorandum that was sent by SASRA, the SACCO and Societies Regulatory Authority, on the challenges we are facing in that space, and more importantly, forget about the challenges, the opportunity cost that we are missing as a country by not regulating our SACCOs properly. That if we are able to do it, we may not even need all these banks that are all over here. That SACCOs are actually almost competing with banks. You know, many of our banks, what they do, they buy and sell government paper. They don't lend to the ordinary citizens. A stronger SACCO, Senator Ledama, if we strengthen our SACCOs, actually, you know the beauty of our SACCOs, it is SACCOs that lend actually to the people that we represent in this house. Very few of the people who vote for me to come to this house, Mr. Speaker, borrow from these commercial banks, perhaps maybe hardly 10%. But more than 90% of my voters are members of a SACCO where they take loans and save in that particular. Therefore, it is in the interest of us as the representatives of the people, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we regulate our SACCOs properly and guide them to advance. Therefore, because this is at the second reading stage, and we have agreed, I've listened to comments, Senator Mogeni proposed certain, what are they called, amendments to this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. We need, I'm sure Senator Ledama, after you've done reading, you will compile quite a few. Senator Cherargei, I heard your comments also. You mentioned about things that you feel that we need to regulate so that we can build a stronger SACCO movement in this country, Mr. Speaker. This is what has built the so-called Asian tigers. It's because of investments such as this and being creative in their thinking, Mr. Speaker. Ensuring that they move over and beyond the call of duty. You know, Mr. Speaker, I mentioned earlier my disappointment with the former chair of the Budget and Finance Committee in the National Assembly yesterday and the things you were saying about NSSF. That NSSF, their duty is just to seek what he calls in theory optimal investments, Mr. Speaker, without defining what are these optimal investments, Mr. Speaker. You know, we have an NSSF that for the last 60 years has only occupied cabros, Mr. Speaker, and building estates in this country. not thinking that if you go to the bows here at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, it is driven by pension funds from all over the world. People are coming to seek opportunities here. The largest shareholders in Safaricom, in EABL, I don't know which other company, Mr. Speaker. Pension funds just like our own NSSF seeking investment opportunities, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, when our own pension fund tries to be creative, we cannot be the ones that are, as a leader, elected member of parliament, you are the one sending false hope and gloom, saying, oh, your money is about to disappear because NSSF has said they want to partner with other investments, with other investors, Mr. Speaker, to build on, for example, the Nakuru, what is it called? The Mausami Trironi road, Mr. Speaker. This is an investment opportunity that is available. I pointed, Mr. Speaker, that, for example, this Nairobi Expressway, isn't the member aware that the team that ran, or the company that ran this expressway, Mr. Speaker, borrows, Mr. Speaker, from savings of people in their home country. They come and invest in such a product and they recoup over the years. Have they heard that this entity has collapsed? In fact, there is more business than it can afford. That's why there is traffic nowadays, even on the expressway, especially during rush hours. Many people are continuing to use it, telling you that there is an opportunity. Therefore, we cannot allow, Mr. Speaker, ourselves as leaders, instead of being dealers in hope, Mr. Speaker, we become agents of gloom and hopelessness, Mr. Speaker, simply because we have fallen out of political favor. We must resist that kind of political culture, Mr. Speaker, and encourage our institutions to be bold. That is what we expect of NSSF. That is what we want out of SACCOs, Mr. Speaker, to be investors as well. It will be a good time, Senator Ledama Olekina, that your own SACCOs, after we have regulated them properly, that they come and invest here in Nairobi Securities Exchange. People from Ilmotiok, from, I don't know, Lulunga, and all the parts of Narok, young men that can organize themselves, the young people that do business, boda boda, mama mbogas, and we trade them how to harness investment opportunities that are available. Kenya is a wealthy country. That member needs to know. Even the NSSF of Tanzania is here in Nairobi, just next to us in Upper Hill, investing in a building, trying to seek investment opportunity in Kenya. Then we are telling our own NSSF, oh, don't seek opportunities within your own country. Surely, we have to be, Mr. Speaker, bold and courageous and not be leaders that misinform our people. I had promised, Mr. Speaker, not to take more than 5 minutes. I see I already done that. That was just a comment with regards to opportunities that are available, especially to ordinary citizens, those that flood our circles, given that this bill is in honor of them. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to, with those main remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Pursuant to Standing Order number 66.3, I request, Mr. Speaker, that you defer the putting of a question until a later date. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The putting of the question is thus deferred, and I appoint Tuesday, 27th May, as the day when the question will be put. 27th May, 2025. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:37 p.m. and having concluded the business for which I extended the hours of sitting, pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, next week, Tuesday, 27th May, 2025. 2:30 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Maguire.